Karibu sana, Simon.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here.
Yes.
We're going to give you the mic shortly to hear what radical idea you have. Our colleague Janet, who's not with us today, left me with the task of giving the quote. We call her Januama quotes.
Okay.
Sasa Januama quotes, I'm a delegate to Eric. I cannot be Eric Wama quotes. Listen, the person who gave this, who said these words?
Eric Wama lines.
Eric Wama lines.
Let's go with that one.
That's better, yes.
I'll take that. The person who said the following lines is one of the people who is considered an icon of leadership, of governance, of servant leadership, of serving the people, of fighting for the rights of the people globally.
Okay.
He's African. He said very many words. For example, what did he say?
We will fight for our rights. I can't do the accent. I'll give it another show.
African, was an icon. He passed on. He served the people for a while, and he said, you know what, I have done my bit. I am passing on the baton, and let others do the same. And I sit back and I just offer guidance. These are the words that he said. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Who said that?
The great Nelson Mandela.
Kabisa. Ni huyo huyo.
The huyo.
Ni huyo huyo.
That one.
A great gentleman.
What do you think of those words? Education is the most powerful weapon with which you can change the world.
This is how I put it. We all don't come to this world on the same, I would say the same entrance. We land on different grounds. The one thing that enables us later on in life to share the same podium, the same table, is your education and your brilliance. So education grants you opportunities that are a privilege. They become a right. Yes.
I like that. They're a privilege.
Become
All right. Education grants you opportunities that are a
To
privilege.
some of us, it's a privilege to sit on a board. For others, it's a right you earn to sit on that board.
Mzee ameanza. Ameanza mapema.
Okay.
Now, you are the Secretary General of the Association of Public Sector General Suppliers.
Yes.
And these are the people who then supply to the public sector, government, whether at national level or at county level. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
How many members are you?
We are about 3,800.
3,800 members.
These are guys who have the AGPO, the normal companies, and the foreign guys.
Nice.
Yes.
Of all these members, there are many, and that's what I just started by reading, who have supplied, but they have not been paid. And there's a figure that's been bundled around. 664 billion shillings is what Edward Ouko says I received in terms of claims from all you suppliers. We've been doing the job of verification. So far, we found 206 billion shillings are clean and they're good to go. And this is what the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury, who holds the purse, this is what he was telling the Parliament yesterday. As of now, if the government has funds, the 206 billion shillings should be paid.
If the government...
The man who runs the coffers, is like,
If.
kama kuna pesa,
That's actually it. Kama kuna do, wacha niangalie. Kama kuna do,
it should be paid.
Yeah.
And you're not happy with that.
Yes.
And you have come here today with a radical proposal.
Yes.
And something that you want to put forward. Right?
Yes.
Simon Gichuki, shika mic.
Thank you very much. Pending bills is first of all, it's a killer. Pending bills should be included as a public debt, both by the national government, the counties, and the sagas. Once you offer a contract and a service is rendered, and if there's a part in the Constitution that says, and you're given a security, that is a confirmation that you have won this contract, and a final confirmation that you have delivered the contract, that is exactly a debt. So acknowledging the debt as a public debt then makes it a priority in payment. So our radical request is, as we are discussing the budgets in the county government and the national government, the number one charge, as as we're looking at as we're looking at all this, is can we also acknowledge that the pending bills verified are a fast charge on our budgets for 2025, 2026. Good example, the CS has already acknowledged 206 billion. So we would expect that among the loans to China, Japan, and all the rest is suppliers loans, 206 billion. Because basically it means that the government is walking around with billions that they owe suppliers. But then why? Pending bill by definition is the amount unpaid for service rendered. So we are acknowledging that a service was rendered and became a debt. That said, it means that it's rightfully owed to the people who supplied. This could be as little as 30,000, as high as hundreds of millions. Acknowledging it helps in three things. One, it is a fact that pending bill is a debt. So whether you're looking at public finance management, a debt is always a first charge before spending. So before we look at the next expenditure, let's first acknowledge that this debt has to be paid. Number two, repayment of this debt activates other sectors. We're looking at loan repayments. We are looking at the financial intermediaries that are having problems with bad debt. And most importantly, a taxman. Chances are out of the 200 billion, rightfully, that the Honorable Bandi confirmed should be paid, 30 to 40% of that will go back to taxes, income tax and VAT and the likes. The last one is increase cash in circulation in the economy. We are having a lot of suppliers who can't do next business because they don't have the cash. Pending bills payments also enable support of businesses. This is why. If you have to support Kenyan businesses, it means that they have to be paid on time. So someone would ask how, and we had a conversation and one would ask, do we need to change laws? No, the laws are there. What we need is personal liability. The office you hold as a CS, as a PS, as a chief officer, as a CEO, as a procurement head, as a finance head, is an office bestowed on you on trust. So you honoring a contract, honoring a payment, is a trust given to you by Kenya. So we are not asking you to enact new laws. We are saying we already have enough laws. We have a very strong PFM Act. We have a very strong constitution. That in itself is a safeguard. We can't create every problem and come up with a new law, no, because that duplication is what brings a problem. So we are saying we can't keep singing the same song. In 2019, former president spoke about it and actually directed all payments should be done. His Excellency Ruto has done the same. So why are we letting them down? Parliament is there, the MCAs are there. Can they make it a fast charge? National government has already acknowledged 200 billion. Counties like Murang'a, Mombasa, like Ipia, and I think Nairobi is in the process, have acknowledged verified debts. Can we have it as a fast charge on our books come 25th of June as we are reading the budget for this financial year? That will make it sane. Nothing disturbs a nation as the most trusted institution cannot honor a contract. We believe worldwide working with government is the safest bet. In Africa, in Kenya, is not. So now we are asking ourselves, if we do not include it as a public debt, it rose from about 300 million in 2013 to 900 billion today. If you look at the Auditor General's report, almost every institution has an extra amount of an unpaid pending bill. So where are we heading as a country? So our radical proposal, if we do not have it as a public debt recognized in the budget, they will keep saying we don't have money to pay you. Because again, our budget is a principal document. Our finance bills is a principal document that enables you to get paid. Spending for the financial year. If they don't acknowledge pending bills, what are so happy? I'm happy yesterday we acknowledged you're going to pay hospitals the NHIF money. Where is the budget? Thank you.
Boom. All right.
Mic drops.
Mic drops.
Nicely done.
I would say your proposal is more logical than radical. From where I sit.
Makes more sense
than
anything.
Than anything else. Let me start with, in your capacity as Simon Gichuki, as a businessman, with any companies that you are involved in, do you have any pending bills with either national or county governments?
As a person?
Not as an individual, but you know.
As an individual, yes. And I'll give you a case. I wrote about it 2 weeks ago. I was looking for some payments in an assembly. I got wind, they got the money, and I went to push for payment.
Right.
And the gentleman told me, "Iya chana na kwanza rudi Nairobi."
Which county was
Total
this?
disregard. I can see that I know there's money. I understand the processes. I understand where the document is, but I still wouldn't get paid because we do not hold these people accountable. Because after he's done, he's going to hand you over to the next official. So if you're a clerk of our assembly and you don't pay me, you will retire peacefully. I'll be left with the next guy following payment. So it's a job we do because we love our country and we love investing in Kenya. But we struggle to look for tenders. We struggle to supply. We struggle to get finances. Struggle to get the job done. Then we start struggle number 2 to get the payment done.
Right. Has your bill been verified?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's just pending since Tangulini?
I have if you're asking about me, I have a bill in account for 2015 unpaid, and that's my home county. I have bills for as late as last year, yes. It's common not to get paid. So what we are saying is, out of all those, we have others that are actually paid promptly. So the entire government that is not bad. There are just small pockets here and there that don't pay suppliers,
Right.
which bring the problem. Because if you don't get paid and a new financial year comes, it becomes a pending bill.
It does.
Now, what we're asking is, can we ensure that we only spend what we can be able to pay? Because we have a budget of 3 trillion in the hope that we raise the 3 trillion through KRA or through donors. If we don't raise and we have build things and bought things for 3 trillion, what happens? It becomes a pending bill. At times it's out of our bad budgeting, on over budgeting that brings the problem.
Okay. I'll begin with the fact that, like I said, more logical than radical to me. But the first immediate pushback is, where do you want this money to come from? The president has given directives time again, former president as well, current one. Pending bills should be a matter of priority, should be a matter of priority, should be a matter of priority. But as you said rightly, our budget is squeezed as it is. We're barely making enough for education, for capitation funds, for healthcare, for even for our development expenditure. It's just whatever kidogo imebaki ndio jenga barabara. So where's this money coming from to pay?
So
the
let me
pending
give you a
bills?
scenario. It was in your newspapers. I think the CS said if you don't receive money in this financial year, then they don't carry forward that debt to the next financial year. So for example, schools. You don't get capitation for this financial year fully. You get 60%.
Right.
But you have suppliers, because you knew the amount you're going to get, who supplied 100%. The government says, we are not going to add the money next year. What that means is that you go back to parents and ask them to top up your school fees.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to you asking me where you're going to get monies, there's a proposal by His Excellency, I think Ruto or Uhuru, of an infrastructure bond to be able to get us money to pay the road contractors. That means we already know we are in a hole. So we won't complain being in a hole. We need a solution. We're going to issue infrastructure bonds to settle pending bills if it has to get there. Because that means you and I are enjoying a very good Thika road, and maybe there's a supply who's not been paid.
Yeah.
You and I are enjoying, we had a good conference here, maybe done sponsored by the government. There's a supply who's not been paid. So since we have already acknowledged that the 206 billion is a debt, then can we have a pending bills infrastructure bond? The other radical change that we have to do is, why build a new road if you've not sorted the other suppliers? I don't think it's of importance to continuously build roads while we have 900 billion of suppliers' money still withheld. That means you're building roads. We can't develop a country because you have our money. Yes.
Okay.
664 billion shillings is what Dr. Edward Oko says his committee has received as pending bills. This is just for the national government.
Yes.
So the national government, they have suppliers who have gone to Dr. Oko and said, I am owed. This is what I did. This is 664 billion shillings. Dr. Oko has only done 40%, 48% of verification so far of all the paperwork that he has. And in that he has found, 206 is worth it. The others, there's some issues. I have 268 that I'm not able to clear. This 268 is because there's some paperwork that's not working, proper documentation. What is that documentation? Some of the documentation lack, delivery records, incomplete. I'm not clear how you are instructed, whether you delivered, whether somebody actually verified that you delivered, and so on and so forth. That's where you come to the 268 billion.
The verification process is easy. Documentation. So we have a clear law of procurement that starts from the business analysis, then there'll be a tender done, it will be awarded, and then you will supply, you'll get a delivery note. If it's a road construction, you'll get a completion certificate, then you'll raise an invoice, then you'll get paid. But now we are not at the get paid part. So what normally happens in most of those unsupported, ideally, we don't have the best records management practices in our country. So either party, there could be the business or the government, may lose the document or misplace the document. So unsupported doesn't mean they're not legal. It means there could be a document here they are missing. I have a case of a gentleman who did, I think it's 2014 case. 2015 when the stadiums were being built. There's one memo missing to get him paid.
A memo?
Yes.
From who? To who?
I don't know, either even from the government or from the side. Yes. So what that means is that he won't get paid until that document is found. So he's maybe among the unsupported. Now, the ones that are supported means that all the documents were found. Now, this is what happens, and I think that is why we need to actually fully and radically support the president in digitalization. Because if digitalization was working, it means we would have automated procurement. All the documents would be with government. So it would be a matter of, Simon, you want your payment, we can sit in the system, all the documents are there. Because digitization enables you to have all the documents, so you don't need to ask me to support. You already have the document.
Okay.
For example, you log in right now to eCitizen and you want to confirm whether the company is yours, you'll only ask the government, please confirm this company is mine.
Yeah.
It brings it out its own document. 90% of the documents you're being asked by the government to bring are already with them, because you did a tendering
government
process.
documents.
You did a tendering process. So if we digitize, in the next 3-4 years, verification of pending bills will be a thing of the past, because it will be in the system.
Okay.
Yes.
But how do we get to a level where a bill is actually pending? If we started with, we need to build something.
Yes.
Okay. We need to build this studio table.
Right.
We've said that. Then there's a procurement department in this institution that says, all right, we are going to ask various suppliers to give us their bids. Then we select. Then we choose. Mariam is the one who's going to build a table for us. Mariam begins. Mariam is then given that service order or purchase order or whatever they're given. Mariam delivers the desk. It is accepted, it's here. Somebody who was supposed to have signed that the thing was on leave.
Yeah.
Has not come in.
Signatory.
Are we saying that Mariam should not bring her invoice until this person comes back from leave to sign that, yeah, your desk, but then likubali lingia? Or are we saying that Mariam should have gone back with her desk until that person is there to receive the desk?
Okay. Okay, I will not discuss into the depth of government processes, but we still have what I would call human-driven processes. Actually, it's personalized. I use the word personalized, meaning the person on that desk is the only one who can do that task at this given chance. If that person is not there, then you wait for him to come back. As opposed to when there's a system, if you're not there on that day, the IT has already escalated it to an officer of your same position to work on it. That's the difference between the manual and the electronic processes. So what we have is manual. But that's not where the problem is.
Where is it?
The pending bills don't come in because the invoice wasn't received on time, or the invoice can be received on time by, let's say, for example, Ministry of Trade. And they say, let's pay, and it goes through the verification, invoicing, and it's verified into the cash office. They haven't received the exchequer because
from the treasury.
We haven't collected enough. So at times we don't blame the ministries. If there's no money to pay, there's no money. I remember people saying PS anafaa alipe. Kama PS hajapewa pesa na treasury, atatoa pia alipe. Number two, assuming it's a pending bill like right now and it passes, they do supplementary budgets to request Parliament, can we get at least 2 billion to settle some pending bills? If we have not collected enough at KRA, where do we get the money from?
History of collection is a story. It's a story. At the end of every year, right? If a budget was 4.2 trillion shillings,
Yes.
there's no year where we say, oh, but then we had budgeted for 4.2 trillion shillings, we only spent 3.8. Is there?
In Africa, it can't happen.
So if we are closing the year claiming that we spent what you gave us the authority to spend, but then there's somebody who's saying that they did not receive the money, that's why I'm asking.
Where the gap is.
So Nisawa.
But I see his
But
point.
you
money
budgeted 4.2.
money
Did you
should have-
collect 4.2? Did the
That's-
donors plug the hole?
Yeah.
Let's say we collected 3 billion as KRA. Did the donors give us the difference?
We went to the market and borrowed.
We never borrow enough.
So you're saying, let's borrow specifically for pending bills.
Yes. Actually, if you ask me, we normally do infrastructure bonds for things like roads and for other investment. Right now, I'm
Infrastructure, as the
requesting
name
the
suggests,
government,
yes.
let's do pending bills to save thousands of companies and livelihoods by settling pending bills.
So to tweet a pending bills bond.
It will actually be a PP bond,
Yeah.
pending bills bond. That one I'll support 100%. I'll lobby for it. Because, let me give you a very good
We're
example.
in a debt
the
crisis,
county
I
government of Nairobi
Yeah.
owes almost 100 and something billion to suppliers. Now, what people forget, behind that company you're looking at are employees and dependents. So, is that not worth enough to have that bond out there? The county of Nairobi, factually, able to settle the pending bills for the next 10 years.
Okay.
Because it means they have to budget
Why?
10 billion every year to settle arrears.
But Simon, why? Has the county of Nairobi ever come back to the county assembly and said, we came and sought for your authority to spend 42 billion shillings in last financial year? We were not able to receive money from shareable revenue. We were not able to raise internal resources. We were not able to borrow. So we only spent 24 billion shillings. Have you heard that from the county governments?
We haven't had.
Is that what they say? So when they're closing the year, they close the year with that budget. It'll require 40 billion shillings.
Yes.
40 billion shillings, we spent 40 billion shillings.
Yes.
Okay? Now, those are the people who should be held accountable. If you came to the county assembly and you said, I'm hoping own source revenue to be 16 billion shillings, and you only collected 10 billion shillings, I'm hoping shareable revenue to be 20 whatever billion shillings, that comes to 36 billion shillings. And then I'm going to borrow 4 billion shillings through whatever. If you come at the end of the year and your own source revenue did not hit that target,
But you already got
but you already
suppliers.
committed that money,
Yes.
that was your poor planning and your poor execution of budget. Why do you want the people of Nairobi to borrow to pay for that bad manners?
So that's why we are saying, if we bring these bonds, now Kenyans, there's something I love saying. We never attend budget-making processes. Those meetings we never attend. Now we are telling Kenyans, we're going to request for that bond. Ili waume, tokeni muulize hawa watu, why you over-budgeting? Because at the end of the day, the government is not to blame. It's individuals. I always say there's nothing like the government. If you don't get paid by the county of Uasin Gishu, blame the governor and the people of Uasin
Procurement officers
Gishu.
and
Leave the
the
president
whatever.
alone. If you don't get paid by Ministry of Finance, the president is not to blame. They are technical officers in charge. So this bond that we are hoping that will be done is because everyone keeps saying we don't have money. Fine, we don't have money. Have we done bonds for things that would actually have waited? Yes, we have. Now this one is not going to wait. Because if you're looking at 700 billion national, 200 billion counties, that's 900 billion. Is it worth a bond? That would be like what, $5 billion? I think we can get it.
In a country in a debt crisis, Simon. We'll be right back.
Yeah, let's take that break. So, do you agree with what Gichuki is saying? He's saying that we have pending bills in this country, pending bills, and we also have debt. Today, we owe several. We have infrastructure bonds, we have Kina Euro bond, we have debt that we borrowed from China, we've borrowed money from Japan, we've borrowed money from World Bank. The first charge out of our consolidated fund, according to the constitution, is debt. And Simon is saying, ongeza pending bill kwa hiyo list ya debt. So first charge includes Mama Njoki, who supplied water to Ministry of Education, but she was not paid. Let her get paid. Do you agree with him? Do you not? We'll take your calls and your comments back shortly. Charge. What is fast charge? Fast charge means, and this is the Constitution, public debt is a charge on the consolidated fund. An Act of Parliament will provide for charging all or part of the public debt to other public funds. For the purposes of this article in the Constitution, the word public means all financial obligations attendant to loans raised or guaranteed and securities issued or guaranteed by the national government. I think just... So there are guarantees issued by the government that we're going to pay.
An LSO is a guarantee.
An LSO is a guarantee. So why don't we consider then that if the year has passed and we gave you a contract and we have not paid you, that goes into debt.
Right.
And so we just say the next budget that comes, the first money that we pay is we clear our debts, and then now we start building new roads.
Right.
We have a call on the line. This is Mudomi from Meru. Is it?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. Here is... yes, Mudomi. Do you agree with Simon?
I'm Mudomi from Meru.
Yes, Mudomi.
My comment was this. If the government is saying that the money is set aside for a certain like road construction, why is it that the money at the moment the construction is over, it's not available?
It's a good question, and it's what we're asking and seeking to understand. Simon, I mean, how do we
never
get there?
ring-fence. We have
Like,
a budget, but we never ring-fence.
I'm asking, the money is budgeted
Yeah.
for certain development, constructions and infrastructure improvement in the country.
Yep.
Why is it after the development or the construction, the money is nowhere to be seen?
What do you think happens, Mudomi?
Like, I think there are some shortcuts that are going on in beside the government.
How?
Like, they are just putting the money in their pocket and they go away with it.
Wamegula. Thank you very much, Clifford. Clifford Mudomi calling us from Meru. We can also take your call as well, 0719 038 858. Here is our guest whom we are given the mic today, and he says, I think all pending bills should be classified as debt in the same weight as debt to IMF, debt to World Bank, debt to China, debt to infrastructure, Eurobond, debt to Nini is the same thing as debt to Mama Njoki, who supplied newspapers to an office and has not been paid. Those are the same. And they should also be charged, first charge from the consolidated fund, pay.
Right. Sorry to interrupt. Just before you go on, I was like, Simon, I'm with you. I'm in your WhatsApp group, Apokwa, first charge.
Yes.
Then we get to how to finance this first charge, and you say an infrastructure bond. Let's call it a pending bills bond.
Yes.
Since I have to leave the WhatsApp group. But then I do wonder about how these bills will be catered for. And I'm just thinking another layer that I hadn't actually thought about, which is pensioners. Alex Muri on YouTube says, hi, my name is Engineer Mwangi. Are you aware that after retiring in 2019 at Technical University as a lecturer, I have not been paid his pension, I presume. I am told retiree pension is included in pending bills.
Yes. Now,
pensioners.
I want to get you back into the WhatsApp group.
Come back in.
Do you enjoy paying interest on your own money you lend to government, or do you enjoy black tax?
Do I enjoy getting interest?
Yes.
Yes, I would love that.
Thank you.
Receiving interest.
First, this fixing the nation means we're already in a hole. That's why we are fixing it. So this whole pending bill, let's all agree that we put ourselves in this hole for 10 years because we didn't see the seriousness. Now we are telling you, fix it by first of all clearing these bills. Companies are closing. Number two, we are saying, beyond the bond, then we will soberly come and ask ourselves, what is the obligation of that signature you put in on that LSO? Is there a way we ring fence the money that we put for a certain contract.
Right.
If, for example, an organization has put 10 billion for buying or for building a road, immediately you do it, you ring fence it. As you get money from the control of budget, it's put aside for that particular purpose. Because basically what means is the county will have, or the organization, ministry or county, will have 10 billion to settle suppliers. You've not finished your contract. But the other guys who finished their contract, they have brought their documents, they have been verified, they get paid.
Okay.
You finish next week, by the time you bring your documents, we have already exhausted the exchequer. Now you have to wait for another round, and another round, and another round. So what you're saying, number one, is that we need to have a very well laid out policy that should an LSO be done, there's a commitment, a personal commitment. Because let's not just sign contracts as accounting officers and not be held liable. You'll be very shocked.
You can't hold me liable for the government's...
There's no government of Kenya without a principal secretary, without a director of administration, without a director of finance, without a director of procurement. The government is a shell.
You hold them personally
If you
liable.
listen to the Nyoro Honorable, when he spoke about the other day, the government is the people inside there. These pending bills did not occur to Kenyan government. They occur to departments run by officers who simply never followed out the laid down procedures and continue accumulating. You go to an institution, they owe 50 people for delivery of tires. That means you owed the first guy, he refused to supply the second time. You got another guy, you refused to pay 2 guys. So by the time now they get some point, they get frustrated.
Okay.
So we are saying we're already in a hole. Let's agree. So we have 2 ways to get it. We quickly audit these things nationally, put them in the pending, in the debt. Then we go to counties. Counties do the same, add it to the debt. So come June, out of the 3 trillion budget, we are saying let at least 1 trillion
go towards this.
If we don't have the money, you're offering a solution.
Simon, when a child is born in Kenya,
go borrow it.
Unazaliwa na deni tayari. Deni ziko. We are spending 70% on bills. Yes. You want to add further to this mess. You want to add further. Young people are thinking, unataka kuniongezea bills to pay in future. It'll be an infrastructure bond, a pending bills bond, etc., that will be bought by people who are a little bit more well off, who have that kind of, spending power, quote unquote. Yes. It's a bill that I have to pay as a taxpayer going into the future. I'm just najaribu to make things work, and you are burdening me with even more debt.
And I'm making it happy for you. Come 2027, you'll make the right choice at the ballot. Because you do not want another pending bill in 2028. So if I tell you that in this county you need a good MCA, you look for good MCA. Because that MCA will help you reason, will hold.
So are you punishing?
We're not punishing
young
you.
folks?
Our parents made the mistake of not doing proper oversight on their MPs. Then the MPs would have in turn done it on the institutions. We are holding them accountable. So we are saying, we're already in a hole. 2027, chagua MCA mwenye atasit kwa committee ya budget, mwenye ata reason ata avoid pending bills. Chagua MP mzuri, mwenye atasit kwa budget committee ata reason. We already in a hole. What people are not agreeing in Kenya is that we're already in a hole.
We are in a hole.
This hole is so deep, it's 1 trillion almost.
Yeah.
Coming out of it won't be a walk in the park.
Are there no other options for financing? Because if 70 bob out of every 100 is already going to debt, you want to make it now 71, 70.7. Like, things are thick as it is.
What's your solution?
I feel like
because you agree.
Maybe we pause in
development
spending. Yes.
We need to pay Simon.
Yes.
You agree.
Yes.
The same way we need to pay Simon is the same way we need to pay IMF.
Yes.
You agree. We put them in the same room. So how do we pay them?
We pause development spending. Wild. I know. Before the break, I was like, we can't pause development spending. Then you said, we can. And I was like, we actually can. What are we doing that's so important? And I don't mean critical development spending. I'm talking about, you want to expand SGR from here to there to wherever, things like that. Pause. Let that money go towards pending bills.
We will revisit from a corporate governance point of view that we can actually pause. Politically, we can't.
Why not?
Because politically, every politician has to launch something every now and then.
Cut a ribbon.
Good. So let's be honest. If we were all to reason, that's why I always say, politics is the only place where you never reason. But if we were to reason with a politician, we can actually halt for a year, half of the development, then split these spending bills in 4 years. Then say, instead of having a development budget of 1.4 trillion, let's take 600 billion this year, pay pending bills next. That year, we go to full throttle development. If they say they don't want to, revert to my option.
Who's they? What option do they have? Why are we giving them an option? We know this cutting of ribbons is theft. We know it. Simon, let's not pretend that we don't know. When MPs, for example, push that they are the ones in control of the road maintenance levy fund, because, you know, we are the ones who are on the ground, and therefore we shall determine which road is to be upgraded or not. It's easy. Let's just call it what it is. Let's tell them it's okay. You can do RMLF in Isawa because you've collected the money and it's ring-fenced for road maintenance.
RMLF?
Road maintenance levy fund.
Yes.
Okay? Every liter of fuel that you purchase, there's a levy there called the road maintenance levy. Per liter of fuel. And that is what that is ring-fenced to go and maintain roads. That's the one that Kipchumba increased to 25 bob. Remember?
From 18.
Higher. So let's leave that. Why must we, in the next budget, allocate money for the construction of a new road? Okay? If that road has not been done, I'll give you an example. There's a road from Emali, Oloitoktok. From Oloitoktok through a place called Ilasit. From Ilasit, it goes to Taveta.
Yes.
Okay? The section, about 50 kilometers from Ilasit to Taveta, should have been all the way from Emali to Taveta. Should have been one. Yes. That section, every year, it's a story. Every year, you know, kuna pesa, kuna construct. Just remove it from the books for the next 5 years. Say that money, instead of putting that we are allocating and we never do it anyway, pay Simon. What else were we saying? We're going to construct. These counties were told construct a governor's residence.
And they're still renting.
Mini president.
Kericho has never allocated money to construct a governor's residence. I don't know which one we were looking at the other day. Some have allocated money. The governor's residence is incomplete. 15 years down the road. Forget it. That money in the next budget, instead of putting an item there called governor's residence, call it Mamanjeri repayment.
Those, unfortunately,
and we tell these politicians, see at tuna discuss history. We are not discussing. Pay our debts.
Sitafadhali in short.
Unfortunately,
Pay our debts.
Unfortunately, this is the time guys are starting to understand how public finance works. And the understanding they have a say. So that is a very good weapon that we have as a country. Number two is the fact that budget making process takes time. I know it's being done, and it will be brought for what we call public participation. Wakenya tokeeni, one of the things we are requesting, they acknowledge it as a debt. If they don't, Kenyans, please push for a pending bills bond as part of the budget. Development is not a problem. It is the amount of losses we make by poor budgeting. When you hear institutions asking, do you have a 5-10-year plan on development? That guides a lot, because even your donor partners work on that. If we don't, then we raise those development infrastructure projects based on the favorism of the legislature. So we just need to agree at the end of the day that yes, they can do all they want, as long as the supply is owed money, take a fast charge. And then if it's a fast charge, what it will mean is they'll have to claw back on some of the infrastructure development because the money won't be enough. And lastly, we are pushing for pending bills to be paid. We're also pushing for streamlining of procurement process in Kenya. We're also very happy when the body says we are going to adopt e-procurement. Cleaning up the procurement process will do away with almost 30% of the rock pending bills that are saying they're not genuine. So we also have to say, on the other hand, we support the government to implement the procurement system they have been pushing for. If that is done, it means we'll also do away with corruption. Systems have a way of beating corruption by their own. So we also have to ask Kenyans, ukipatana na governor kumuuliza na implement in procurement next. Ukipatana na PS muulize. Because when it's done, By then you'll be very shocked. We have very good leaders in our country, but they never get to understand. By the time documents in Africa zishapikwa.
They're already, it's too late.
But when you implement e-procurement, 90% of these processes will be automated. So we won't even have a problem of such things like unsupported documents.
Okay.
Yes.
I see your struggle. I see your point. Not completely sold on burdening taxpayers with even more. Borrow from Peter to pay Paul, but Peter is already on his knees. That's the problem. Umesema wakikubali ati we pause development spending. Mbona, why make it an option?
Because it's a vote reserved to them. But I always tell people, you can only lobby an MP to reason. When he sits on that committee, the budget making process committee, we are never privy to the voting process. So let's be honest.
Tulionyesha last year.
Yes.
Yeah,
now this year,
we don't trust your reasoning.
Yes.
And even we have seen the result of your reasoning, which was hogwash, and we are forcing you to revert that reasoning.
So we're asking Kenyans.
We did it last year.
Come June, please help us get it as a fast charge. 200 billion back to our economy is a big push.
It's a lot of money.
Yes.
Asante
And
sana.
that's only national. County is much more.
Right.
Thank you.
Samuel Gichuki is the Secretary General of, what is it called in full?
Association of Public Sector General Suppliers.
Yeah. It's not
General
entrepreneurs. It is the
suppliers.
people who supply to government
Yes.
at national or county level. They are owed a lot of money, and Dr. Edward Ouko, the former Auditor General, is verifying some bills. Buddy has said, yes, some 206 billion shillings has been verified. If kama kuna pesa tutawalipa. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the mic.
Thank you for having me.
Turudishie mic yetu sasa. Boom. Asante.
Thank you so much, Simon. We have to wrap up the show now, but of course, coming up is Your World. We'll be seeing what's happening uko kwa ground na Winnie and Co. But kesho tunapatana asubuhi na mapema. We have a lot to discuss. International Women's Day is right here. We can smell it. We can smell it. And we'll be having amazing conversations around ending femicide. So tune in. We will have a mini baraza of sorts. And of course, be sure to ask any questions. Hashtag Fixing the Nation and TV. Anza sahi. So that by tomorrow morning, we're good and set and ready. Sindio.
Kabisa.
Bye.
Bye-bye.